Hello lovely people, my name is Ansu and today, after about a month of not filming, I am back once again. If you didn't know, which obviously I didn't tell you so you wouldn't know, I got a full-time job. I kind of forgot how to read and function as a human being, so I didn't really have the drive to film videos anymore, which was really frustrating, but I'm back once again, which is great. So today, since I didn't really make any February wrap-ups last month, I'm going to combine both my February and March wrap-up in this one video, and I read quite a few books, so let's get into it. In the month of February, I did end up reading 5 books, which is not a lot, to be honest, because compared to my January, I think I read 11 books in January, including a few graphic novels, but still. That was a huge number and I kind of fell down from it, but anyway, let's get into it. I was really happy with a lot of these books, and I had this contemporary thing that I wanted to do, like read a lot of romance books and stuff, because it was February and there was Valentine's Day and stuff, so I really tried. The first book I read was my favorite, Nightstand by Gina Gold. This book follows around 2 main characters and we can actually get the perspective of both of them. First of all, our female character is really smart and she's a professor. So is a bunch of her friends as well, and all her best friends are males, and she hooks up with one of these guys. So one day there's going to be like a huge talk show thing that's going to happen with the faculty, I think, and because of that, Barack Obama was actually going to come to one of these events, and they wanted to have a date to go to this event and not be a loser single person or whatever, and so they decided to go on to this dating app and make a profile for themselves and see what was going to happen. Somehow the 2 friends that hooked up got connected on the dating app, and it's a story that goes a little downhill from there when we know that the female character actually knows what is going on, but the male character who got into this dating app does not really know what was going on, and then they end up together. Obviously it's a romance book, so obviously, you know, this was my first Gina Gold book and I was really happy with it, and I gave it a 4.5 stars out of 5. The next 2 books were from the 7 Realms series by Cinda Williams-Chima, and I read The Grey Wolf Throne and also The Crimson Crown, both by Cinda Williams-Chima. So The Grey Wolf Throne I gave a 4 stars out of 5, and The Crimson Crown I gave a 3.5 stars out of 5. We follow around Han Alistair, who is a magician, and he's a low-life human being living in this very poor area. And then we have our Princess Air, who just does not really think too much before doing anything and just does whatever she wants to, and she has a billion romances. Anyway, we have this high wizard who is kind of corrupt and who's supposed to help the queen and the queendom out, but in turn it happens that he is trying to manipulate the queen, and the Princess Air is trying to escape his hold and just is basically trying to run away, and in the end she's trying to save her queendom. That's essentially the story. It is fun. I know a lot of people really enjoyed it, but I hated the romance aspect of it because I really could have done without it, and it was like every single book she had 4 or 5 romances like just happening at the same time, and I was just really confused why it was happening. There was no need for it at all. It was just like basically a thirsty 17-year-old, and I was just not up for it. It was just I didn't love it. The sun's going down, so I probably look terrible now. It's fine. The next book I read was Love and Other Words by Gina Gold. This one I gave a 3 stars out of 5. Actually really enjoyed this book for a lot of things, but one thing that really threw me off was something that I'll get into. Wait, hold on. So we're following 2 characters since they were like 11 years old. So this girl in the book, essentially she loses her mom at a very young age. I think it was cancer. I'm pretty sure, I forget, but yeah. Anyway, she loses her mom at a very young age, and to kind of escape everything, her dad gets a vacation home elsewhere so that they can go there every so often, like every weekend or something like that. And she goes to this house where she meets this boy who is actually sitting in this library area, which is like a little nook in the house, and they become really good friends and they kind of kindle a romance with each other. There are such precious characters in the beginning, like you can see how their thought processes are, and it's just so adorable and it's really sweet. The thing that I didn't like about it is when these characters grow up, we understand that they have drifted apart for whatever reason, and they end up actually meeting up after like 10 years after they've drifted apart or something, and we are trying to unfold why they drifted apart. And the reason that they drifted apart was just stupid. In my opinion, I did not like it. I feel like it was just a reason for a reason. There was, I don't know, there was no base for it, and it was so out of character. I'm going to give you a warning here. I don't think it was even acknowledged that well in this book. So our main character, the dude, he actually gets raped in the book, and it was not even acknowledged, like, at all as rape. And I don't know, that kind of didn't sit well with me, so I thought I'd let you know there is a particular scene that's there, and it's not really acknowledged that well either, so keep that in mind. It was a good book, it's just I didn't love how the characters developed in the end. That's just my opinion. Didn't love it. The next one I read was The Unnie Mooners by Christina Lauren, and I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. This is, again, by no means a masterpiece, but it was so adorable. Again, we have this drama for a drama kind of an instance, but it was cute. So we have our main character who is a twin, and she has the worst luck, and her sister has the best luck in the world. So the sister figure is ready to get married, and she's getting married to the love of her life, and she has the best wedding, like venue, food, and everything, all for free. She won a lottery and everything, right? So it was great for her. We have our main character, Olive, who definitely is not that. She just lost her job. On the day of Amy's wedding, the other twin sister is super lucky. Everybody ends up getting food poisoning except our main male character and Olive. And in the end, Amy asks Olive and this dude to go on her honeymoon. But the problem is Olive absolutely hates this dude. Like, hates him. And they're always bickering, and they just seem to really hate each other. They go for the honeymoon, and, you know, romance ensues. I'm not going to agree that they were actually enemies to lovers, because I don't think they were really enemies. They were just bickering with each other for absolutely no reason, and it's kind of dumb, but it was what it was, and I actually really still enjoyed it. It was cute. So that's that. So those are all the books I read in the month of February. So now let's move on to March. I actually started reading in the middle of March because I did get my job in like the very beginning of March. So I hadn't been reading anything for like a couple of weeks, and I really was just so flustered. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. Anyway, so I did read 6 books, and the first book I read was Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is like such a highly anticipated book of mine for this year, and I loved it. I did give this a 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was so freaking good. I really enjoyed it. I cried so much, and just I'm ready for the next books. I can't wait for it. Anyway, so we actually follow around a bunch of our Shadowhunter characters, and the ones that we even love from the Infernal Devices, like Will and Tessa and their kids. It's freaking adorable. We have our main character James, who is the son of Will and Tessa. And we also have another character, Cordelia, who is a Persian, which is freaking amazing because we don't really get that much representation in such a mainstream book. In the beginning, we see that London is such a wonderful place. There are hardly any demons there, and everyone is just so jovial since the like the war thing that happened in the Infernal Devices was done. Everyone's so happy. They don't really expect any kind of demons to be in their way, and suddenly there seems to be a bunch of attacks, a bunch of demon attacks, specifically on the Shadowhunters. So the demons are not even attacking humans, and usually demons are supposed to come at night when everything's dark, but they seem to come in the morning, like daytime, when there's the sun like full out. That's when they came, and obviously everyone's freaking out, and everyone's trying to figure out a way to go through that situation because that's never happened before. And then we have Cordelia, whose dad is possibly going to prison and get killed because of something that he did. Since this was like a historical time period, like a Victorian time period, we can see the differences between males and females. And I'm so used to reading historical books, so like it's fine with me in my head. I know people can get offended by it, but it's like a really long time ago. So women were treated so much differently back then. And we can see how Cordelia is put into a situation where she has to get married, and she is absolutely in love with James. Cordelia and Lucy, which is the sister of James, are also supposed to be parabatai soon, so there's that relationship as well. There's a lot of heartbreak in this book, and just the romance that's supposed to be kindling is just kind of destroyed in the book, and it's so sad, but it is wonderful. Now, if you want to read the Shadowhunter books, there's a shit ton of them. Give the moral instruments. I know people love it. Some people can't get through it. So my recommendation would be read Infernal Devices and this series, The Last Hours, as well, but it's just the first book, so you might want to hold off on that if you want to. And The Dark Artifices, because I think that's also really good, because each time Cassandra Clare brings out a book in the Shadowhunter realm, it seems to just keep getting better. So just if you want to skip the moral instruments, I get it, it's fine. It doesn't really matter, so you can read these books if you want to. The next two books I read was super highly rated on BookTube for a really long time, and I finally got to it. And I read The Last Magician and The Devil's Thief by Lisa Maxwell, both of which I gave 4 stars out of 5. The world is super interesting. There's time travel involved, and it's a little confusing how it works because I really don't get it. And I was listening to the audiobook for the most part, so it just went over my head really quickly. But anyway, so we're in the present day where we have Esta, who travels back in time, and she's told to steal a bunch of artifacts from years back and get it to this professor figure that she knows and she really cares for. That's her father figure, so she's really into it. She really wants to impress this dude, right? So she does everything that he wants. Esta is a very talented thief, and also she can travel in time, and she's essentially been trained to steal magical artifacts for this professor. Now she's a magus, and there's this organization called the Order who's trying to get rid of the mages, and before they even figure anything out, she can travel back in time and steal a magical artifact and be back. And finally, her last job in this whole series of stealing magical artifacts was in 1902, and she had to go and get a book. It's supposed to be carrying all the secrets of the Order, and she needs to get it before the magician can destroy it. That was her instruction, and she goes back in time. That's all she needs to do, right? Which is obviously easy to say, but it's really hard to do. So Esta ends up going for this whole adventure, I guess, and she gets into a lot of trouble. Obviously 1902 means, again, women don't have a lot of rights and they're treated like crap. Also, if you're a magus, you're really screwed. A magus is like a person who can do magic, essentially. So if they actually do any kind of magic, they can get into shit. So that's there too. She ends up actually caring for the people back in 1902 as well, and she still cares for the people in the present day, so she's really in her head, and it's a story from there. So I thought it was really interesting. I really enjoyed both the books, and there's one more book coming out this year, I think, towards the end, so I'm excited for that one as well. Moving on to the next book I read, this was also really highly rated, and it was The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stewart Erin, and I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Again, we're in a Victorian time period or something of that sort. So we have this huge house party that's going on, and there's a bunch of people in this house party, and it's again a Victorian time period, right? So everyone is getting ready for a masquerade thing that's going to happen towards the end of the day. And what happens is we have our main character who wakes up every single day in a different body. He remembers what happened through the previous body's mind. That makes sense. So he has 8 days to figure out what is going on, who killed Evelyn Hardcastle, so he can actually get out of this place. The only thing he remembers from waking up the first day is a name, Annie, and he tries to hold on to that memory and try to figure out who killed Evelyn Hardcastle and how can he escape with Annie. So technically he's only allowed to go by himself, and he can't really get Annie out of there, and it's believed that Annie could betray him, and he still tries to rescue the both of them. This is a historical thriller. If you know anything about me, you'll know that I'm such a wimp when it comes to anything mildly related to thrillers, because I cannot sleep at night. This is not terrible for people like me. The history towards the end was actually interesting, who killed Evelyn Hardcastle and everything. It was interesting. I liked it. There were a bunch of deaths that's also going on other than Evelyn Hardcastle's deaths as well, which is actually kind of fun to read how everything kind of wrapped up in the end. I thought it was really interesting. The next book I read was From Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon. I gave this a 3.54 stars out of 5, and this one is a high school contemporary romance. We follow around Twinkle, who is an aspiring director, and she's interested in one of these guys and who is a pro athlete person. He's a great swimmer, and he's overall just a smarty pants dude, and he has a twin brother who is very dorky, and he's also a producer person. So Twinkle and the producer guy named Sahil Roy, they kind of team up to make a huge movie for one of the biggest events in their school for like a movie night thing. And so they start to like recruit people to actually act in the movie and everything. Like it's a full-on movie. And we also see that she has a best friend named Maddie, but she suddenly became one of the very popular girls, and Twinkle is left aside and she doesn't really have a really good friend. Maddie still talks to her, but it was not like it used to be before anymore. So Twinkle feels a little left out and everything. Along the way, she gets a secret admirer email from this guy named N. So she thinks it's Sahil's brother Neil, who she's like really in love with and wants him to be with her. Sahil really likes Twinkle, but since Twinkle became a director, she started to become a different person. Like she started acting like she owned the world, like she was better than everybody, and Sahil calls her out on it and stuff like that. So Twinkle talks in this interesting manner where she's like writing in a book and she's talking to these famous directors, I think. I am not really sure. But anyway, she writes to these people and it's like supposed to be super interesting because it's like a diary entry. It's fun. I really liked it. And the final book that I read in the month of March was There's Something About Sweetie by Sandy Menon as well. This is actually the second book from Dimple Met Rishi series, but I haven't read the first book, When Dimple Met Rishi. I haven't read that one. So we have this girl who's considered fat or overweight, and she has been seriously bullied for a very long time. But she's also a pro athlete. Like she's a great runner. She is the best in her school and she like keeps beating her time and stuff. She's a fantastic runner. The things at home is that her mom is really kind of a bitch. Her mom hates the fact that Sweetie is fat and always tells her to like stop eating so much and calls her out on her weight. And every single time she comes back from school, the mother makes her run around like the courtyard or something. And it's really heartbreaking to see that her own mother was doing that to her. It's really sad. And then on the other hand, we have Ashish Patel, who is from another school, but he's also a pro athlete. Like he's a great basketball player and he's handsome. He's kind of a playboy. He's perfect, right? Ashish Patel though gets cheated on in the very beginning of the book by his college girlfriend, and he's like really upset by everything that's happened. So he gets this idea from a friend that he should probably talk to his parents to arrange a relationship for him or arrange a marriage for him. They're only 17, so it's arranged marriage. I'm like, okay, fine, guys. So Ashish gets a relationship that's arranged for them, and it's Sweetie. Sweetie is such an adorable character, and also, this is the first time I actually saw a South Indian in a book. She is from a state called Kerala, and it was freaking fascinating. I loved it because I have never actually experienced having a Malayali character in any of the mainstream books that I've ever read since I was 11, and I've read over 350 books by now. It's probably not a lot for many people, but still, it's made me feel like I was recognized or something. I don't know. Anyway, Sandy Menon just brought that into this book, and I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. That was not the point. I just went on a rant. Anyway, Sweetie's mom is not really happy about this whole relationship because Ashish's mom came and talked to her, and she's like, okay, I can't do this because, well, Sweetie's fat and Ashish is not. They're not going to be a good couple. So there's always this constant talk of you're fat, you need to lose weight, and then you'll be worthy of other people. So Sweetie wants to prove that whole notion wrong, and she goes behind her parents' back and goes ahead, asks Ashish to like a racetrack and races him and beats the crap out of him in that race. She proves to him that she's not unhealthy, but she's just fat. And it's not because she's lazy, it's not because she doesn't work out, it's not because she eats a lot or anything like that. It's just that she's fat. That's it. And Ashish is like really into her, and it's such a cute relationship. It's fucking cute. Okay, I loved this book. Again, not a masterpiece, but I loved it, so I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Those are all the books I read in the months of February and March. I think that was 11 books, if I'm not wrong. Can I do math right? I'm pretty sure. I really enjoyed a lot of them, so I hope you guys can get some recommendations from here. I don't really know if I said anything coherently in this entire video, but I hope I did. So hopefully you can actually get to some of these. Talk to me down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!